You got the oatmeal there, huh?
I got the oatmeal.
Is it what is that? What meal for that is? What meal number is that for you?
See,
Meal six?
I got to count. Five. I'm gonna have six after this call. Well, I'm going to dinner with my family.
Okay, nice, nice. You're an oats guy, not a cream of rice guy, because a lot of people are on that
I
cream
do
of rice
both.
these days.
I do both.
Okay, yeah. Slower digesting versus faster digesting.
And fiber.
Yeah, that's the one reason why I still like to eat oats. Because otherwise it's like, well, you're eating white rice, you're eating
Yeah, it's not
wheat
good for you.
rice.
You
It's like, where's
nothing
your
but
fiber? No, you're not eating veggies.
no, and like I feel like all the bodybuilders that I see that eat nothing but chicken and rice don't have very good digestion after a couple of years of doing that.
You got to have some fiber, man. And I don't know why people hate oatmeal these days because it was a staple for bodybuilders for like decades.
Yeah. I mean, every morning I definitely have oats, and then I'll randomly use it as a carb source throughout the day. But I try to mix it up: potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice,
Yeah.
um, bread, fruit. I'm not against anything.
Yep. I'm like that too.
Like I digest it all, so it doesn't really matter. If obviously people have digestion issues, then
Yeah.
don't eat it. But
But usually you get the digestion issues from cutting out all that stuff for a long period,
totally,
right?
yeah,
So it's like, yeah, now I have a good variety in my diet. I'm eating, some gluten here and there and like not crazy. It just
yeah. I eat like 2 pieces of bread a day. It doesn't
yeah,
bother.
it's a balance, right? It's like your whole diet isn't cereal and bread, but if you have a little bit of cereal or a little bit of bread, it's like they say, part of a nutritious diet, right?
Yeah, I drink milk.
Yeah,
I try to eat within reason from all the food groups. I don't eat cheese, but because it's basically pure saturated fat. But
it's
what I mean?
also
I
just like
skim milk.
yeah, crappy quality cheese.
Yeah,
Like if you get
totally.
some nice quality cheese,
That's different. Yeah, on a random
different.
occasion.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even the same
Time.
food. It's a different food, right? They say the cheese that the shredded cheese that they put in the grocery stores is it's like full of like sawdust and crap. It's like
Well,
what
if
are
you
we
think
even
about it, well, like if you took a block of cheddar, like a nice block of cheddar cheese, and you grated it,
yeah.
turns into a clump, right? It doesn't
Yep.
stay separated, but yet the stuff in the bag in the store is like perfectly separated. Like, yeah, they use cellulose or something to keep it. It's
Yeah,
gross,
exactly.
totally gross. And you can see it when you cook it because the oil comes out of it.
Yep.
Like just gross
Yep.
processed Franken foods. If more people ate single ingredient foods, they'd be a we'd be a much healthier place.
Exactly.
I
Yep.
think people focus on the wrong shit. Everyone's like, cut carbs, cut this, cut like if you just eat a healthy variety of shit, you'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean that's the thing, man. Like I see guys that are like fully grown adults, bodybuilders in their 30s, and they're eating a lot of junk food when they're bulking, right? And then it's like, well, why am I not getting the results I want? I'm hitting my macros. It's like, yes, that is true, but there's so many micronutrients you're probably missing out on. The
And fiber,
digestion
like we
thing,
talked
the
about.
fiber thing. Right, exactly. Yeah.
Especially look, if you push, right? If you're pushing the gear up and you're not necessarily right, we're putting our health in not necessarily in the best place when we push shit up, right? If you don't have fiber, like we wonder why your cholesterol's all skewed, right? You're not doing cardio, you're overweight, you're pushing steroids. What do you expect your blood to look like?
Yeah.
You're walking time bomb.
Sugary cereals.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add
Right.
stuff like that to supplement, like on a high day, because it's impossible to eat enough rice to get to the
Exactly.
grams of carbs. But that doesn't mean your diet consists of total children's garbage food,
Yeah.
right? That comes in a box.
It's a trendy thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, my kids eat the same way. My kids eat. I cook all their food, so they eat
Yeah.
this. If I'm eating fish and rice for dinner, they're eating fish and rice for dinner. That's all they know. The portions are just different.
It's so interesting, right? Because children, like I don't have children, obviously, but from what I know about children is they're gonna follow essentially what their parents do,
That's
right?
why I learned this. My dad was doing this.
Yeah, and that's even what I was like because when I was growing up under my father's care, the one thing is he hated McDonald's, he hated fast food. And so when we would go to, let's say we would get like Taco Bell or something like that, because he wouldn't take us to McDonald's, but Taco Bell was like a once a month
Taco
treat.
Bell was different when we were younger, though. It's
It
not
was
the
way different. Yeah,
it
it
was
was,
actual
but
Mexican food. It was or fast like Tex-Mex, but it was not
exactly.
like the dog shit that they serve today.
No, exactly. But it was still considered like he would
It's
frame
still
it.
cheaper food. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He would frame it like this is an experience. We're going out as a family to get this meal. This is out of the ordinary. We do this once in a while as a reward. So it was very clear to me at a young age, like, okay, this is not something that you do all the time. This isn't like normal eating. Because normally I was taught how to cook and how to do all that and just make food at home, right? And then I worked in restaurants and I learned how to cook even more. And I always just thought, well, if you're cooking stuff yourself, you have control over the ingredients, you know, the quality, and it's also part of the whole like eating process. I love getting food cooked for me, don't get me wrong, but when you're cooking it, it's a whole different thing,
No, I'm with you. I
right?
enjoy, like I said, I prepare all the food for my family. I like the process of I shop every day. I pick out what I want to make and I make it for, you know what I mean? I think it's part of the family, like sitting down to eat. Like it's important to me that we sit together and it's a process.
Exactly.
You know, the way
Yeah.
it was 100 years ago, it should still be like that.
And it's a good feeling when you can create a delicious meal for your family and they enjoy it, right? It's much more rewarding than just ordering a pizza,
Totally.
right? And just stuffing
Yeah.
your face. Like there's no thought behind that. There's no love behind that. There's no connection behind that, right?
Yeah. And like you said, you know, we pick the ingredients, use fresh things. You know, I'm not adding extra like crappy oil and stuff. I'm not cooking in rancid stuff.
Yeah,
You know, the whole
exactly.
thing matters. And that just, I think if we as a community like bodybuilding, if we put more effort into that stuff, we'd be all healthier, I think, than just pushing food for food's sake, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because that is the most important thing is the food at the end of the day, right? Like you're not that big without food.
exactly. And it's like it's different at different times in your life. I remember being a student and when I talk to young guys, they're teens, they're students, they're in college, and they're so focused on I need to have the best diet and the best training and the best this and I'm on campus and I don't have access to all the food and my coach is telling me I got to eat this. I'm like, you know what? If your coach is giving you a plan and you can just go on MyFitnessPal, this is what I used to do when I was a college kid and someone would give me a diet. I would just find out what the macros are and I would try to hit those macros. But
Yeah,
I
it's
would
different.
select foods that are healthy foods, but still picking from the ones that I have available because I can't be concerned about the foods that I don't have available. It's not in my control. So let's take a look at what we do have control over. Hey, you know, if you're at a college or university cafe, they probably have you know, eggs, boiled eggs, the tuna, you know, they might even have chicken, but there's always something,
There's definitely always something. And when
right?
you're in that stage of your life too, you have to like budget your money differently as well, right?
Exactly.
Go
Yep.
buy bulk ground beef, bulk chicken, bulk rice. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
The
That's
cheap stuff.
but
Yeah.
like
Oats,
when you get
instant oats, cheap.
yeah, like when you mature more, right? And you have more disposable income and you have more control over your situation. Like I can control what I eat. No one controls what, you know, same as you. Like no one dictates to me what I have to eat. You know, I'll spend what I need to spend on it and I get it done. But that's a different stage in your life.
Yeah. When you're on a budget, when you only got $50, $100 a week to spend on groceries, you got to eat plain. You got to make some sacrifices. Are you going to get, you know, the ketchup or the extra two, three cans of tuna? Obviously, you just get the bare bones basics. And if you got something left over, okay, then you get a sugar-free ketchup or something like that. But you just need your carbs and your proteins, you know. I used to buy like, you know, big bags of like lettuce and I just throw those in my meals or like pre-made salads, right? Stuff like that. There's always a way. Go to a grocery store. Man, I used to follow I would still find a way to follow my diet as closely as I could, even being homeless and just sleeping in gyms. And you go to the grocery store and you buy instant oatmeal and you buy
You buy that
obviously
minute
you
rice
got
stuff.
protein powder. Yeah, you got tuna packets, right? You buy those rotisserie chickens.
Yep.
Man, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you don't really, in theory, you don't technically need more than that, especially
what
if
else do you need?
it's tight.
Exactly. Yeah. Rice and oats and chicken and tuna and protein powder or eggs, whatever, you
Yeah,
know.
whatever. Totally.
I remember getting eggs and they used to be cheaper, but I would use that a lot of eggs, like 12 eggs a day. And I would get like this little omelet maker from the dollar store. It was like a little plastic, and you would just crack the eggs in there and whisk them up, and you just put that thing in the microwave, and it
Shit.
would just
Okay.
cook the eggs,
That's
and
so
you
cool.
just take it out. And I used to eat that. Yeah, it's like you just you just find ways to do what you got. And you don't think about, oh, this isn't perfect. You just think like this is awesome because I'm finding ways, like I'm MacGyvering this shit.
When and you don't have to talk about it if it's a subject you don't want to talk about. When were you said you were homeless living in gyms?
I was like 21 and I was working at a Good Life. But the thing was is that I was essentially partying all the time and I was just like living paycheck to paycheck. I was also competing in bodybuilding and I would take out loans to do shows if I had to travel and then I would try to pay it back after. So I was kind of always in like debt. Like I'm always like on the edge of like financial crisis, but it was fine up until the point where I gave somebody money, which is basically all I had, but it was for a month's rent. And like, here's money, place to live. Cool. See you on Monday. When I show up at this person's house to get this room that I had paid for, they had essentially said that I had just shown up out of nowhere and I was like a stranger and that I was like threatening them. And they were like about to call the cops. And that's when I realized like I didn't get any paperwork from them. I just gave them money, trusted this person. I thought this was a nice person. I was very naive and I didn't have anybody like watching my back. So I was just like, they're telling me, oh, I'm a nurse and I work with all these kids and I have this place and I just it sounded so great, right? So I was just cool, here's your money. And I didn't think about that. So it was an expensive lesson because then I ended up a few months basically just too embarrassed to like tell my parents what had happened. So I just was like, okay, I'm not gonna tell them that I'm not going home. I'm just gonna stay in the gym, then I'll just work like that. But it, at the time, I was just there was like an ego thing or a pride thing or just like an embarrassment where I was like, man, I can't ask for help. This is just too much, right? So yeah,
I
that
did
was
this.
a lesson for sure. But the one thing is, even during that time, I still ended up winning like a bodybuilding show. It was like,
Of
and that's
course.
like at the time, that's the only thing that really mattered to me. So I was like, that was the redemption. And then I did build back momentum, and I got another place, and I pulled myself out of that shithole. But you can get yourself there if you really neglect things, right?
Yeah.
At a young age,
And
right?
it
And not
teaches
not ask
you
for
what
help.
you really need in life and what you don't need.
Yep.
I've had times in my life too where I've had very little and I've had times where I've had lots. And I came to the conclusion very recently, of course, it took me 50 years to figure this out, that really the point of money is that it buys freedom, right? That's really all
Mhm.
money does. It allows you the choice to do things and to go about your business in a way you choose to do it. And you're able to choose who you do that with, right? Like
Mhm.
if you don't need as much money, you might not have to, like, I can turn down clients, right? I can turn down podcasts. I turn down podcasts all the time.
Yeah.
Like I don't, and those are free. I'm just saying it a lot, but you don't necessarily need certain things. And that's really the whole point of it. It's not about material things. It's more, it just buys you the ability to live your life as you choose, right? And you
Yeah.
get to say fuck off sometimes.
Yeah.
When you don't have anything, you kind of are at the mercy of everyone else.
It's true. Yeah. I think, yeah, and like not having anything, it makes you realize that how little you really need. Because sometimes when you have everything, and because that's how I felt at the time. I was like, I have everything and everything's great. And then it was like you're hit with something like that. And you freaking learn real quick, like not to take things for granted. Right. And then I think you become like each experience like that, you get a little bit more wise, essentially. Like you're hardened by life. It's like, oh, that happened to me. Now I have to readjust the way I look at life, be more cautious with people, ask more questions, do more due diligence, do your homework, that kind of stuff. Like you start to realize like if you fuck up, you're gonna be fucked,
Yeah.
right? Because there's at some point it's just gonna be like no one else can come save you, essentially,
No,
right?
no,
So that was yeah, no, that was you know one of those things in life. But yeah, like then there's been points where I've had a lot, and I'm kind of like at that point now where I have everything I need, and I'm like every day I'm just like super grateful to have everything I need, and there's always things that you want,
of
and I'm
course.
like, oh, that's great, I have things that I want, but I have everything I need. That's like the best place to be in because I've had everything I wanted, everything I needed. What else would I
Yep.
desire to do? So there's still things I want, still things I want to do, things I want to have, things I want to see, things I want to be, but everything that I need, I already have it. So it's perfect and
That's
that's great. Yeah. So I'm super grateful for that. But
What's your
most people have that. I feel like most people have everything they need, and then they don't even realize that. So they're always in this state of they feel like they're lacking something when they really aren't.
yeah, and they are just chasing nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
What not to fully switch subjects, but I just thought of it because I don't think I've ever asked you, what's your goal as a bodybuilder at this point?
Right now, I really want to get on the Olympia stage. That's something that I've worked for so long. And it's not even about getting to a certain point at the Mr. Olympia yet, because I haven't gotten there yet. So it's just a matter of getting that qualification for me and solidifying myself as an Olympian, and just claiming that title is something that I've always wanted to do ever since I've turned pro. It's like the next step. So just because it's the next logical step for me, that's just where my mind constantly goes. But what that can bring towards like actual fulfillment, I feel like is having much more validation, credibility, and have the ability to attract more people that I can help in return,
Mhm.
give, my guidance to. Because I feel like I've been guided so well to this point, and I feel like again, I have all the guidance I need to get to that next point. But I feel like there's a lot of people that do lack that guidance, but
A lot,
they,
millions.
yeah, millions of people lack guidance and they don't know who to trust. They don't know how to find the right person. But I feel like kind of being in that limelight, even if it's temporary, it gives me the ability, like people can then see me and then I can attract
Yeah,
them.
I'm the same way.
And then I'm able to reach them, right? Because if they don't see me, can't reach them, can't spread my message, can't
Yeah.
help them, can't make a change. So I feel like it's a catalyst for the ability for me to speak to a larger audience, essentially. Um, Combine that with the fact that it's a goal it seems like to me a really big goal.
It's realistic though.
So, but that's the other thing too. It's realistic enough that I can believe that it's possible.
It's definitely
Right.
possible.
So yeah,
I think if
that's
you
it.
question it too, it won't like you have to not question that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of power in you knowing that you'll be there.
Yeah.
What
And that's the thing too. It's like I almost feel like there's certain things like this. Like if you work hard and you believe enough and you do everything you're supposed to do, all the ups and downs start to make sense. Because I think when you're going through like certain challenges, you wonder, that's what makes you wonder. Like, I'm going through this now. Is this stopping me from getting there? That's usually what people, the first thing that they're dealing with is like, this is a challenge I'm facing. Is this going to now be the challenge that stops me from getting where I want to go? But you realize like that's just another step towards
Yep.
that's another step. That's another step. So looking forward to each challenge. It's like, oh fuck, there it is. I
Yep.
wasn't ready for it today, but now it's here for me today.
You'll never be ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have to readjust, look at the way I see things, changes the person. Okay, keep
You
going
know,
on. Yeah.
something similar to that. I asked my dad years ago, I said, how do you know when you're ready to have kids? He said, you'll never be ready to have kids. He said, when you have kids, it makes you ready to have kids.
Mhm.
So if you wait till you're ready, you'll be 80.
That's so crazy.
Um, what's your next what's the next show you're gonna do? Do you have an idea?
I got to do Toronto, man,
Okay, cool.
because again, it's like I turned pro in Toronto. I live in Toronto. How cool is it to be like the defending champ in Toronto? Right? It's like I just that's my title now. You got to take it from me, kind of a thing, right? It's like this is my territory. So I just think that's cool. But besides that, because that's all just like in your head, but it makes sense because I'm a competitive bodybuilder. Getting on stage is what I do. It's 30 minutes from my house,
Wow, cool.
right?
Yeah,
So there's
that's a
zero,
near pro is 30 minutes
yeah,
from.
there's zero stress, there's zero cost, right? I know everybody there. Like it's a great time for me. It's really fun. I usually have clients there, so I'm usually there anyways.
Yep.
My girlfriend's gonna be doing it too. This would be if we do Toronto Pro, both of us, be the first show we do together. That would
I
be a
didn't realize she was a pro. What does
challenge.
she compete in?
She's not a pro, no, but she'll be doing the Toronto Pro Am.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know she
Yeah,
could.
which is just like on the Saturday and then the pros are on the Sunday. So yeah, that would
No.
be that would be it would be epic if she could turn pro and then compete as a pro.
Very cool.
like I
Different.
did. That's the coolest thing. That's why I love the Toronto Pro. I was like, oh man, you get to compete as a pro the next day. How cool is that? So
Who's
Toronto, Vancouver, we do Chicago. If we can get to Dubai again, if we can keep pushing it and go into Tampa, and then you know, by that point we've got the Olympia qualification from one of those shows. We've got some prize money, and then we can take it from there.
what I'll switch subjects again just to keep it going.
Yeah,
Apparently just you and I on this podcast.
I
What
think so.
you were how old are you now?
I'm 31. Yeah, I'll be 32 in October. So it's October now, so I'll
Who,
be 32 pretty soon.
who were the bodybuilders when you were growing up that like influenced you? Or they could have even been before your time. Like who did you look up to back then?
Okay, so real quick, interesting is my birthday is October 12th, and that's the Saturday of the Mr. Olympia.
Oh no shit. Okay. I'll text you when
And also there's a movie, it's the Joe Weider movie, Bigger,
I'm
and that movie released on October 12th, 2016. So it's funny. It's like the Olympia is on the 12th. So anyways, so that's my birthday. So coming up 32. Man, when I was like 16, I started working at a Wimpy's. And this is also like I was going through another weird period of time in my life where I had like this bulimia eating disorder, from like a bullying thing that I was just like really skinny at that point. So when I
yeah.
started working at Wimpy's, yeah, I was a super hard worker, but like I just wouldn't eat. And if I ate, I would feel like guilty and I'd want to like throw it up. So basically, I just like worked until I was skin and bones, and then I would like run and work and run and work. My boss was like, dude, like, what's wrong with you? Like, you need to eat. That's what he said. You need to eat. And I saw him, I looked at him, and he was wearing like his Wimpy's t-shirt, but he had like these huge forearms and like veiny forearms. And I don't know how it came up, but one time I was like in his office or something, and he had like all these like bottles of like NO Explode like on a shelf. And he's like, you know what this stuff is? I'm like, I have no idea what that is. He's like, all right, well, listen. He's like, I've got this book for you, and it's Arnold Schwarzenegger book, the encyclopedia. So he gives this to me, and I feel like he had a feeling, like he felt like something was wrong with me. He's like, maybe this book will like help this guy like eat some food. So I read this book, and I'm like, okay. So I take it home, I read this book, and I was like infatuated with these guys. Like just seeing the pictures and being like, oh, because I knew there was something wrong with me too, to the point where I'm like, why am I like in this weird cycle of like not feeling good about my body and binging and purging and like weird things like that, right? Noticing other kids, like, why is this kid fat? Why is this kid skinny? Why do I feel so awkward? It was like a weird time. But I like read that book from cover to cover and started like instantly following it. I was just like, this is like the Bible to me. So I did that and I had good results. And also, like, that was like kind of like the first time I was like exposed to like a bodybuilder. Like, he was a bodybuilder for sure. He was an aesthetic bodybuilder. And his older brother, that was Dave, his older brother, Mike, was like a big power lifter type of bodybuilder. And I remember his forearms were like twice the size. And he would like use the wrench and they would just be like fucking Popeye. And so that's the first time I was like, holy fuck, like these guys are so powerful, so strong. And I immediately understood, like, okay, if I want to look like that and be strong like that, this is the Bible to me. I have to follow this, do this. And then they were even like kind enough, honestly, like they brought me all this gym equipment from their house that they were like moving into a new house. They brought me all this gym equipment. I set up my room. They let me eat literally like whatever I wanted from the kitchen when I was on break. So that was great. And I gained like I went from like 120 to like 150. Still
120.
never really saw like any real actual competitive bodybuilders in real life though. But then I ended up doing my first show, really. It was like a year after that. So from that time I started like training at Wimpy's. A year later I was on stage. And then that's when I ended up moving to Toronto. And then I ended up from that show like meeting other bodybuilders. Like, oh, these are the competitive bodybuilders, but it was a natural show, so they were small. Then I went to I remember meeting Mike Van Wyck,
Mhm.
um, Steve Kuklo,
Yep.
because these guys were just at like local shows signing like autographs and like selling t-shirts. And I was like, damn, like, so I bought some t-shirts and I got their autographs and I was like, damn, these guys are so massive. Um, and then I ended up training with a couple like semi-pro bodybuilders, and then eventually started like basically just going to the pros and being and asking them like how much would it cost to train you. And some guys would tell me like $300 an hour, and I'd be like, oh damn, okay, I can't afford that. But then I found a pro trainer who was training some of the pros here in Toronto. Like he was training like Fuad for a while and Ben for a while, and then he was training like Jerome Bravo for a while, and then he ended up passing away. His name was Darren Oliver, so rest in peace. But he was very well known as like the guy, the pro creator here in Canada, whatever. And I was like, "How much is it going to cost to train with you?" And he was like, $100. And I'm like, "Okay." So I got $100. I'd be like, "Here," and he would train me, and I'll do that like once every other week or something, whatever I could afford. And that was the first time that I was like, now I'm like really investing into bodybuilding. And I remember that first year I invested $9,000 in training.
Wow.
Yeah. So I basically just kept training, kept investing. And that was like not even competing. That was just in training sessions. 9,000. Yeah. I spent 9,000 in training sessions. And also then I went to school for kinesiology and blah, blah, blah. And then it just kept going, man. It's like crazy, crazy freaking journey. Because that feels like yesterday. Telling that story literally, yeah, feels like fucking yesterday. It's wild. So I feel like we should switch gears a little bit because yeah, you're right. I don't think Morgan's coming on here,
Yeah,
but
it's you and I.
what I did do, man, is I got all these brothers right here that are qualified for the Olympia. And I pulled up like all their profiles. So why don't we just take a quick look at everybody who's qualified right now, since no one else is going to qualify, and just spend a few minutes on each person here, and we can give our
Sure.
opinions.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Hunter here first, 263. Like the first thing that jumps out at me here is his freaking legs and his arms are crazy.
Yeah, I feel like his arms have come a long way, right? He's got great arms. A lot of the open
Yeah,
pros now seem to be lacking in the arm department. Guy preferred the look from the early 2000s, like the Sean Ray, Kevin Levrone, then the guys had much bigger arms.
I agree.
I will say something interesting about Hunter's quads, though. It's the insertion is weird on the top. They almost like stop halfway up.
Yeah.
He does have great quads, but you know what I'm talking about when you look at the front of them?
Yeah, like they're really, really thick. They just don't have like a really crazy insertion like some guys do.
Well, if you look, I don't know if he's going to hit the front again.
It should cycle back through. Yeah, right
Yeah.
here.
See,
Yeah.
like where the vastus lateralis on the side, it like ends
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's cool.
Yeah, mine's almost like that a little bit too. And I feel like that's because that insertion is maybe not as long, it actually makes it maybe a little bit harder to
So your
uh
rectus femoris is much bigger.
yeah, exactly. The rectus femoris
Cool.
is huge, right? Like you can see it like all the way
It's
up
just
to
genetics.
yeah.
It's cool. No, he looks great.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he
I
looks
think
really
it's
good.
the best look he's brought so far.
Yeah, man. I think honestly he can definitely be because what was he last year? He was seventh,
Something like that.
I believe. Yeah, so I think he definitely could move up a little bit. He's been as high as fourth. I don't think he's going to be fourth this year, but he could be like a fifth or a sixth.
You never know.
Yeah, you do never know.
A
Like,
lot of it comes down to the conditioning that they bring that day, right? Some of these guys look, like Samson does that a lot. Like he looks great a couple days out, and then Milos and him do something
yeah,
or did something.
this guy here, he just won the Italy.
He's an open.
Yeah,
He's got a great physique. I don't think he's big enough.
it's weird because he's pretty big. I mean,
But
like he's
some of
he
the other guys, yeah. I mean, you know, by all means,
yeah.
he's very big. He just, I don't know if he's big enough to win the Olympia in open.
No, 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 I don't think so for sure. I think he's got a lot of size. He's like,
He's symmetrical. Like he's got a
yeah,
good shape.
he's like the kind of guy who's like getting there. You can see that he's still got some more building to do, and he's got some more conditioning to
Yeah,
do.
he's got definitely more conditioning to do.
Yep. But as far as just like the actual raw symmetry and stuff like that, looks
He
pretty
looks
good.
good. He's got great shape, and he's got calves. A lot of these guys are lacking like lower leg development.
Yeah,
He can do a vacuum still, which is impressive for open guys.
I know. starting to lose that a little bit, right?
I mean, if I were that heavy, there's no way I could do that.
Especially, yeah, especially if you're carving up a lot for the stage.
Yeah. I mean, I can't if I have any food in my stomach, I can't do vacuum.
Andrew Jacked. I don't think he has any actual pictures. Let's see, this is like the best you're gonna get right now, which doesn't really tell you anything.
Yeah, who knows?
Just that his legs are really pumped. But we did see him compete in Texas, so with the same package, like even if he doesn't improve at all with the same package, I still feel like he's a top five guy.
Yeah, let me see. It's his
Weight is
condition.
a lot
Okay.
better. Yeah,
Oh,
here we go.
okay. Yeah, and he's got a still small waist still. He looks good. Shoulders are big.
It's weird with
High
Andrew.
lats, huh?
That's the thing. I feel like he's so tall and so wide that it's always going to be like, well, he needs a little bit more legs. He needs a little bit more
I mean, he's a big
this.
dude. I mean,
Very
how
big.
tall is he?
6'2", I believe.
Okay. Well, how tall are you?
I'm like 5'11".
Okay.
Yeah.
Got interesting calves, really high insertion.
Yeah, they're like really balled up, eh?
Yeah, sprinter.
Yeah, freaky to look
I
at.
don't like that too. I was a sprinter in college. Mine said high too. They claim that there's something with sprinting. I don't know what it is.
I feel like he could be more conditioned too.
Yeah, his lower back.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing like I think he looks awesome in every pose, except I don't like these side poses. This
I
one,
don't.
that one's great, but
Yeah, and I don't know what these guys run going in. Um, I'm wondering if a lot of them, not that there's a wrong or right, but judging on the condition that a lot of these guys are bringing now, because there's like a film of water on a lot of them. I
yeah,
wonder if they're all running a gram of test into the show.
I feel like a lot of them are.
And it's not necessarily what I would do unless someone really needs it to stay full. I would rather leverage other things at that point and pull the test out.
Yeah.
I think to really get that crisp look, you kind of pull the test.
John De La Rosa. I don't know, man. He could be anywhere.
It's dense.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if he'll be top 10. It's really hard to
Hard
say.
to say.
Really hard to say. Because even like he's so good, it's just like everybody else is really good and everybody else is just a little bit younger.
Yeah, again, it's probably going to depend on how he shows up, right? How everyone else shows up.
Thing about John too is I feel like he looks better on the stage than he does either in clothes or he does like in his pictures. He just looks better when you compare him to people somehow. Probably because of his conditioning. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, which obviously.
He just brings crazy conditioning. So if anybody else is off, he kind of exposes them, even if he's like not as big, but he's just aesthetic, like pretty
Yeah, but it's an
symmetrical.
illusion. The leaner you are, the bigger you're going to look, right? As
Exactly.
long as you have the size to begin with.
This guy is looking pretty crazy. Mo Fuda, saw him in Chicago. He crushed everybody in Chicago, and I was impressed because I never really saw him
I don't
before
know much about
that.
him.
But yeah, like these like Egyptian freaks, man. They have like this crazy aesthetic looking physique. They have
I
sweet.
have a guy. I have an Egyptian guy now who will hopefully turn pro this winter.
So that's all you need. You just
Same thing,
you need
dude.
to get
He's
that
a
one Egyptian guy.
monster. He's a monster.
What's his name? We check him out right now.
I'll send it to his Instagram. Give me a second.
Yeah, yeah. We'll pull him up after. um,
I want to just make sure I get his Instagram name right.
John Jewett's looking pretty crazy too.
So it's oh yeah, I'll look up to John. Yeah, John looks great.
Here, let's go to your guy, and then we'll come back to John.
So it's Tony Tony underscore Mach
Tony.
Al. Yep, right there.
There we go.
See, he's local. I actually see him in person.
Oh, that's cool.
So, which is kind of cool because I get to see him every day. So I can adjust his food like by literally looking at him.
Let's check this out. Oh, here's a leg day.
I coach this kid too that spotted him.
Oh, really?
I coach a bunch of those guys.
Oh, this is the Body Master hack squat. We don't even have this one.
That's not at my gym. I don't know where that is.
I've never even seen that hack squat. It looks cool though. He's doing the reverse band though. What do you think about that? What's your opinion on the reverse band? I know we're going off topic, but
I think it works. So the hack for me isn't the right resistance profile without a band on it. And
yeah.
the thing has to do with my anatomy. I don't get a ton out of the hack. I might be too short, and I have really a lot of that ankle. Like I can actually do a sissy squat on it where my knees touch the plate.
Oh, gotcha.
So like the hack doesn't do a ton for me. Like I do better on actually a barbell squat
Okay.
because I'm actually like built to do that. And I get more of a leg press.
Yeah, I like leg press. I didn't like hack squat. Looks like a
He,
strong dude though.
big
Is he
dude.
gonna do what is this? Oh, he's gonna do hamstrings, eh? He's gonna do 5 plate stiff legs. This is crazy to me. When guys are doing 5 plate stiff legs, that is crazy to me.
He's he was 5'9", 288.
I, honestly, if you're doing 5 plate stiff legs like this for like 10 to 12 reps, you're probably in like the 1%.
His hamstrings actually hang through his pants when you see him in
Yeah,
person. He's a big dude. He'll absolutely be a pro.
yeah, for sure. Well, Tony, give you a follow.
Cool.
Very nice, man. Okay, let's go back to John for a sec here. Yeah, so John beat everybody in Vancouver. Um, but Akeem beat him in Toronto. So I don't know. I feel like potentially top 10, but also potentially not top 10. Just because he's like, again, it's like he's kind of got everything, needs a little bit more size. Do you agree with that pretty much, John?
What was the last part? He needs more size.
I just think like he's got everything, but just frame wise, like how much more muscle can you put on that frame when he's already looking this gigantic at 235?
Have you ever stood next to him?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Super impressive in person.
See, that's the thing is it's always a mind fuck, right? You're
I
like,
mean, I
this
guess
is this is this
you're
is
so big that
crazy.
it might not be.
Yeah,
He's the monster.
that is crazy conditioning. I feel
And
like,
well, he's always in that condition. I saw him at the Arnold. We were hanging out with him in the Arnold for a while.
yeah,
You could see the fibers on the side of his quads where they attach to the hamstring, like the actual, like I'm not even sure what it is.
this is definitely
This is
more
he was pulling in
conditioning
this
than was.
offseason. He doesn't get out of shape anymore. And I'll tell you, of all the like of all these top open guys I met, he's probably the most humble and the most easy to talk to guy.
He really is. Yeah. He was so cool that he talked to me. He was like, "Hey, Robin." He's like, "I just wanted to come say hi." We were backstage, and I was like, "Oh wow, I can't believe." Because it's not normal. Usually, when people have more followers than you, they're like, "Oh fuck this guy."
No, John is a super, super nice guy. Like he was talking to Paul and I for over an hour outside the animal thing. He like stopped signing autographs.
I know that's the thing. I was like, damn it. He like pulled the nice guy tactic on me because it was backstage for finals. I let my guard down. I'm like, oh, you know what? I like John. Maybe I don't mind if he wins. Then he
No,
wins. I'm
he's a
like,
super
God
nice
damn
guy.
it, he got me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's very cool that he's successful and he's so nice.
I know. He well,
I think
he's
a lot of
he,
these guys kind of lose sense of that.
he's just all around a cool guy. So yeah, hopefully John gets a good placing and brings his best look because it looks like he's going to. All right, Bonac, which Bonac is very deceiving. Like you asked me, have I
Yeah,
stood, have
I've
I
seen him
stood
in person.
next to
I'm
John? I've stood
excited.
next to John, and now after standing next to William, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore because I was like, I couldn't believe how much bigger I felt than him, wider. I'm like twice as wide as this guy, but then when he gets on stage next to you, he just like beats you somehow.
Well, he's much like smaller than you as a
Yep.
person, but he's gigantic for his frame.
That's what's totally mind blowing, right? Because when you get on the stage as a bodybuilder, it's not always like the biggest frame is the best.
Oh, absolutely not. It's an illusion.
I think, yeah,
Bodybuilding is just an illusion.
totally. I think for sure Williams gonna be in the top 10. I just don't know where.
Yeah, look at that. Look at his glute medius when he hits
Yeah,
that. It was unreal. It's hard to tell because his conditioning's not on point here.
no. Cool thing about William though is that he's come back from like injuries and still winning shows, still doing the Olympia, and he seems so like laid back and chill. I remember watching one of his day of eating videos, and he was like, "Oh yeah, well, so for meal three, I'm gonna eat my meal six from yesterday. I forgot to eat. I'm just gonna heat it up and eat that for meal three today." I was like, "That's hilarious." Nobody would admit that, you know. No other bodybuilder would be like, "Oh yeah, I missed a meal yesterday." They would be like, "I haven't missed a meal in 15 years."
Right,
I'd
right, right, right.
rather die than miss a meal. Curry is another guy. He's going to be like anywhere in the top 10. I just don't know
Yeah,
where.
yeah. It's going
Also,
to be
he
really
hasn't
interesting.
posted anything.
You're not going, huh?
Nah,
Oh,
I know.
next year, man. Well, you better be in the Olympia.
I know. That's the thing. I'm like, yeah, spend all this money and then go there and be sad that I'm not on stage. Also, it's like we're just going to end up watching the damn show in the hotel room anyways.
Yeah, well, we're filming there. You could have filmed. We got a
That would
booth.
be honestly, that was the only reason. It would just be like to come, like do content, like hang out
Get
with.
a ticket now. Come out.
It would be
We're filming.
fun. I'll just drive down for the day.
You should. We're booth
Maybe.
201. Me and Vigor Steve and Chase, Paul Burnett. We will be filming.
What are you guys going to film?
I don't
Podcast?
know. Yeah, we're not going to air it there because the Wi-Fi is like 20 grand.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
going to record it and then air it later.
That's cool. Nick, what do you think about Nick?
I have mixed feelings about Nick.
Yeah,
I'd say Nick is a great example of someone who's managed to overcome his genetics.
yep.
Um, I have a lot of respect for him. I don't know. I don't personally love his physique. I think his physique is improving. His waist is getting smaller, but there are those moments when he lets go of it and you see how wide his waist is that
Yeah.
I kind of, I'm kind of, but I have a lot of respect for the guy. He works hard. If he's changed his training recently, I think he's really pushing hard. And he's obviously the guy has made crazy progress over his career from where he started. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I think he'll be in the top something. Where? Who knows?
I have him like fifth in my predictions.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, I figured top five. It's so these guys are all so good, so hard to tell.
I actually can't remember if I have him fifth or third. I'd have to go back to the other episode and check, but I I think he's going to be in top five. I don't know where, just because I haven't seen him. But just going based off like the New York Pro, I feel like the New York Pro look will probably put him in fifth. But if he could bring something new, I guess, like a different level of conditioning, a different level of almost like when he first came out to his New York Pro in 2000 and was it 20 or 21? The year that he dominated because he came out and he was just like a statue. Whereas when you're watching him on that stage, you would have no idea that he would ever have like a distended gut. Because that was the one thing about Nick for a long time is that people were continuously trying to call him out on his distended gut and looking for a point where he lets it go, but he wouldn't.
Yep.
Now there's been a few like moments where he did, and then I think that's where people they it just drops your stock because people jump on that one moment.
Yeah, and I wasn't
So
trying to.
hard.
I'm not bashing the
Yeah.
guy.
No, I'm not saying
I
that
have a
you
ton of
are either.
respect for
Like,
Nick. I
yeah,
just no, I just
you
don't
can
know where
only
he's.
judge what you see. Obviously, because it is bodybuilding, we're judging based on what we see. But I think that's generally where it's like it's almost like you're it's like being like being in trouble with the law. It's like you're innocent until proven guilty. It's like you're perfect until you have flaws, essentially. Like once you start showing your flaws,
Yeah,
now
then
people they know you have that flaw now. Whereas if you never let them see it, they don't know.
and I will say in his defense, coming from where he came from genetically when he was much smaller, the amount of food that man must have eaten to get that big, so it's gonna push your waist out at some point.
Yeah, I think this look like this Olympia look that could be dude that could be top three.
Hmm?
Could be top three. Um, yeah. Martin,
I like Martin's shape. He's got one of my favorite shapes for an open guy.
me too.
I think he might be lacking the size to be in the top five.
Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say about Nick is I think Nick his that's what I was going to say is his stock got dropped because of how close it was with Martin. But I think
I
that
like Martin a lot. I think
yeah, that
I
doesn't
like
tell the
the
whole
direction
story.
that bodybuilding is heading if we're going to be like Martin.
Martin Martin's an interesting guy. He's a cool guy. Very transparent guy. Hardworking guy. Got good genetics, obviously. What's his only limitation is just that he's not as tall or structurally wide as like a Samson or a whoever. Um,
He's got a very appealing shape.
he
So
does. I'm trying to find a better picture, stage picture. See, he's funny because like when he's like this, you actually can't see how much of a like an aesthetic bodybuilder he is. He kind
yeah,
of
well, he's very in off season
just
there.
looks off season, right? But then when he dials it in, he
Oh,
really
he's awesome,
crazy conditioning, right?
awesome.
I think
No,
that's
and I just it's perfect because he doesn't flatten out.
yeah.
No, I mean he's probably one of my favorites, even though I don't know if he's going to break the top five. But I do respect him as bodybuilder a lot.
Here's some good
Yeah,
kid.
I would go with Martin on this versus Nick. I just think it's easier on the eyes. I've never been into just mass for the sake of mass because I think there is a point where it starts to get distorted looking.
Yeah. See, I think that's the thing, right? It's just the fact that if
Martin flows.
yeah, if you have the center point, the abs as a weakness, that's where your focus has to be for the whole entire time you're on
Well,
stage.
but just even look at the shape. Like the muscles in his quads are perfectly formed. Like they're
Yeah.
just genetics. The insertions are perfect. The shoulders are perfect. Nick looks like he put a little too much oil in the rear delt. Like it's some of it's just blown out of proportion a little much.
I think here though, Martin is lacking
Yes,
the
chest.
density in his chest. Yeah. Like you can see Nick has like every striation from the top to the middle to the bottom, all the way like through his nipple, all the way into the bottom, into the shoulder, the pec. Martin's kind of like halfway there. So I feel like that's the one thing that
Yeah.
from the legs, amazing. And then it's like the middle of the body, he's got the better abs, but the weaker chest. And then
Yep.
Nick, he can hide his abs here. So Nick is dangerous because again, like you can hide your abs, and your abs are really just a couple poses anyways, because his side shots are like deadly, super deadly, especially
Unreal.
his tricep. The front shots, yes, he gets exposed, but you know, when he dials it in, he's actually not bad in the front shot. So that's the thing where I feel like I don't know. It'll be interesting. Definitely interesting to see how both these guys come. Raphael. Let's see. A couple more guys, and we'll wrap this up. What's he doing? Taking some protein shakes. Oh, he hasn't posted much either, I don't think. Oh, here's a good picture. The 6 weeks out. So, okay, so we can't really tell conditioning, but just assuming he's going to bring good conditioning with this amount
He's
of
got a
6
great shape too.
weeks out. Yeah, Raphael has some of the best quads on the IPV Pro stage, just in terms
But
of
I just think again, like aesthetically, he
the
just
aesthetic. Yeah,
I think that some of that's lost nowadays. Like it still should look like art,
yeah,
right? I get the freak factor, but I think you can be a freak. I mean, he's still a freak, but it's not hard. Like he's got no part that I'm like, that's like weird to look at. Like
no,
my eyes go to Nick Walker's veins on his legs,
yeah.
you know?
This here is one of my favorite physiques. This
Yeah.
look right here is super crazy.
No, he looked great. Yeah, that was a cool show.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not much you can knock this guy on, man. Honestly, he's probably I would say like maybe the darkest horse there is, just because he's a tall, big, aesthetic. Now he's got all the mass too, so he could sneak into top six. Pretty crazy.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
agree.
Theo Laguerriere is French guy.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, he again like another like aesthetic guy.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
good.
got good quads, good upper body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hamstrings, glutes. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Like there's so many guys that could be in the top 10. It's gonna be a real fight to see who can climb up this year. What did you think about Samson in France?
I think he was good. I still think he's like a little off the mark of the conditioning.
It's funny how I just think it was funny how he was posting his breakfast and it was like the three eggs. But that's been the same breakfast he's been eating for a long time.
That's what he eats for breakfast is 3 eggs.
Just three eggs.
How the heck is he that big eating 3 eggs?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, everybody's like, well, how is he so big eating three eggs? It makes no sense. How is he not getting shredded? Well, he has other meals. I'm
No, I get that. I just so
yeah.
weird. Who the heck eats 3 eggs?
Okay, so it's three eggs and a black coffee. So realistically, it's like you probably feel pretty good in the morning. Like you're gonna be hungry.
I'd be so hypoglycemic if I eat.
Yeah. But for someone who's not gonna get like hypo, they're probably just gonna feel more clear-minded,
Oh, totally. Yeah, if you
right?
could do it, by all means, man. I wish I could eat less. I don't want to
Yeah.
eat like a pig.
Like I'm sure at this point he feels fine eating three eggs because he's got coffee, and then he probably knows in like an hour and a half to 2 hours I'm gonna get like a decent sized pre-workout meal.
Well, and he
Right.
probably shot a bottle of growth hormone, so his glucose is like 200.
Yeah. Um, but I don't know. I don't know his full diet, but clearly he's eating enough to maintain his muscle. Like I don't think there's any argument that he's maintaining all his muscle. So he probably just maintains muscle very easily. Blessing and a curse, right? People complain of, oh, like, I have to suffer to get lean. It's like you got to suffer. Samson has to suffer, but he maintains all his muscle pretty easily.
Yeah, no.
So that's a good thing, right? Whereas if you have a crazy high
Yeah,
metabolism,
that's like me. I would just lose
yeah,
weight.
you
I
lose you
stepped
lose
off.
faster than you want. So it's like there's no perfect genetics.
No,
Everybody
but
has
the
blessed.
best responders, right? It's
Yeah,
gear, it's your response to gear drugs, and it's your response to gear training and food. And the best responders don't need as much food because they're very efficient at using that food. His body clearly can take that food and do good things with it, right?
yep.
Most people's metabolisms waste that food.
Okay, so talking about
I
you
like
know
them.
near perfect genetics, would you say
Yep.
would you say this guy right here, the champ?
Yeah, I'd say he's probably gonna win.
Yeah, dude.
I like him. Seems like a cool guy.
He's a really cool guy, man.
Have you
Like,
met him?
yeah, he's so humble in person. Like I remember just one time, like just being in the gym and like posing at MI40, and like he's never talked to me before, but he just like was like watching one day, and he's like you competing soon? He's like you're looking good, man. Like you're just like watching and just being positive. I was like, hey, thanks, that's cool. Just being a cool dude, supportive, nice.
Cool. And why would you not be?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um. Okay, Hadi always fucking
And
like this guy. He always blows my mind, man. When you're training like this, at like 10 days out, 15 days out.
he's not young.
He's not young, and this is not light.
No, he's a beast.
It's crazy, man. So if you're lifting like this 15 days out,
What are you
like
doing?
what do you feel like when you're fully charged up in the off season? Like there just wouldn't be enough weight you could lift.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say how much Halo testing are you taking?
Yeah. Crazy though. Crazy that he's got no fear.
Yeah, good for him, man.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, that's probably another part. You could speak to this better than me. I can only tell you from my experience working with pros, a lot of it too is risk aversion, right?
Yep.
Your risk tolerance is going to dictate how far you can go because where most people would pull back, you guys have to go a little bit farther, right? You skirt the edge
Yeah,
of
exactly.
sanity with a lot of things. So, with everything you do, everything's a little bit on the edge.
Yep. That's very true. And obviously he's confident he can do this. He's doing it well. He's not
Yeah.
he's not getting hurt. So
Oh, good for him, man.
but I showed my girlfriend this. I was like, look at Hottie like doing all this crazy weight. He's like a week out. And she was like, that's how you train a week out. I'm like, yeah, but I don't do this. Like she thinks I do this, but I'm like at like 3 weeks out, I'll probably stop like dumbbell pressing and stuff like that, right? Like,
You're like, what are those? The 200s?
yeah, that's like the heaviest fucking weights in the gym.
Yeah, you can't even like put it down. It's
Can't
a
even put it down. Like that's what I mean. It's like,
shit. Yeah, it's a lot of weight, man. Yeah, he's
yeah,
a lot of respect that you can work like that.
that's why he's fucking Mr. Olympia, right? So
When I was telling someone on a call earlier too, I pride myself in how hard I work, but like when I work with these guys that are at that level, they outwork me every fucking day. Like it's just amazing how there's another level of work that like I can't touch.
exactly. That's why I love to see it because it makes you realize that there's more levels, man. You're
Dude, I'm
just
sure you
scratching
work
the
pretty damn hard.
surface. Yeah. So I think fuck man, like Hadi, Derek, I think they're easily going to be top two just because
Yep.
of
That's the top two right there.
how fucking hard they're working.
Samson will probably come in third.
Yeah. Yeah. Another hardworking guy right here. Like Akeem,
Yep.
again, like you've been
He's
around for a
he's
long
from near
time,
me.
lifting a lot of weight, consistently winning shows at the Olympia, top eight. I mean, he's still good. He won the Toronto Pro. Um,
Can you explain something to me that I never understood? It's a very silly question.
the
What's
tapes.
with the what's with the mouth guard when they pose?
I've got a couple of clients that do that. Okay, so this is for my clients that do this too. I tell you guys, you don't need to put the clicker in your mouth to take your pictures.
Oh, is that what that is? It's a
Yeah.
clicker?
Your
Oh,
phones are
so,
the
I thought they
phone's
had thrown
already
a mouth guard in. I'm like,
the
why are you
phone,
wearing a mouth guard?
yeah, the phone is where it needs to be already. So all you need to do is just record a video
And then take stills out of it.
and take stills. And you
Okay,
don't need to
that
take
makes sense. Sorry, that
pictures.
was a really stupid question.
Because I, I know it's a lot of people ask that question though, and they're like, well, what's that thing in the mouth? I'm like, it's a clicker. It's clicking photos, but it's not necessary to do that. And I just found it really awkward to put something in your mouth while trying to hit the pose and breathe and time the click with your mouth. Just seemed kind of ridiculous to me. So that's why I feel like my method works better. But
When an idiot's like me think it's a mouth guard, so maybe don't put it in your mouth.
yeah, well, who knows where that thing's been? It could have been on the gym floor. I don't know. Your bottom of your gym bag, and then stick it in your mouth. Well, I guess, builds up immunity, right? Immune system. So I don't know, man. Should be a good Olympia. Um, oh yeah, there's already two guys qualified for 2025, Brett Wilkin,
Okay.
and Samson. So that's interesting. What about all right,
Keon.
what about 212? Who do you think is
I
gonna win?
want Keon.
Hey?
I like Keon.
Yeah, yeah. I think
I
Keon's gonna
think Keon is like a genetic freak.
yeah, I feel like he's improving exponentially at this point.
Yeah. And he was born for this stuff.
Yeah. I feel like Sean did improve exponentially
Yeah.
and then
But Keon is just, in my mind, Keon's just better.
he peaked. Yeah.
And it's not a work thing. It's not a gear thing. He's just, I think his
It's just a genetic thing at that point.
genetics are
It's
just
like
perfect for bodybuilding.
you look at a Sean Clarita and you're like, this guy is a freak of freaks. But then you look at Keon and you're like, he's a freak, but he's beautiful freak. Like,
Yeah. No, that's the thing. And that's what I think is that's what it should be, right? There should be some level of beauty there still in bodybuilding.
yeah.
You should like it should be appealing to look at, not
Dude,
freaking.
look at this list of classic Olympia. You see this? Look at this.
Crazy.
It never ends. Look at this.
Be a shitty to be in that lineup.
60 something guys. Shout out to my boy Tyler Johnson from Canada representing. Um, who else do we have? Like obviously besides Chris, but that's it. We got Chris Bumstead and we got Tyler Johnson from Canada. That's it. Oh no, we got Kellen Wilson too. Shout out to Kellen Wilson. He got his qualification at the Vancouver.
Cool.
Do you think honestly, like just okay, last thing, we'll wrap it up. Good question though. Do you think that there's any chance of Chris being dethroned this year?
A chance, sure. There's a chance. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not.
If
I,
if there if there
I
was a
would like to.
chance,
I would like to see Wesley win.
yeah.
I unfortunately, I really want to see Wesley win. Um, I don't know if it's going to happen.
Where do you think that Wesley could beat Chris?
I think he has an overall better look for classic. I think his overall package is more classic. Whereas I think Chris is Chris looks more open to me. I think Wesley's conditioning is better. I like the drier look.
Yeah,
Um,
Wesley's improved a lot.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. No, I think his overall look is more classic to me. I think he is also like similar to John Jewett in that he's just a genuinely great person.
He's definitely got the arms.
And he's got like a perfect shape. Like now you
Yeah.
could say, his legs need to come up or you can nitpick stuff, but I think again for classic, he seems more classic to me because I think it's appealing to look at, and that's a classic should be.
It's funny, right? Because Wesley doesn't really have that many flaws. It's only his legs.
And they came up. I don't know if you've seen them lately. They've come up a lot.
They have come a lot. They actually look a lot better. Like I think what show did he win? Was it was it the Arnold? Yeah, so he won the Arnold Classic, right? So yeah, here he looks very symmetrical and balanced because he's got a good amount of definition in his quads, which give the appearance of good, like having good legs. Like his legs they're good, they're just not amazing. Whereas I feel like Chris has the best legs on the stage, whereas Wesley has pretty good legs, but probably has like the best arms. So I guess it comes down to whether you want like the actual classic representation, which would be Wesley, which would be like the Arnold Schwarzenegger look, or if you want the Chris Bumstead just because he's the gold standard at this point, right? So it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens because you're right. There's a chance, but then also at the same time, it's like how hard it can be to knock the
Yeah,
champ out.
there's
So
politics and stuff too. So,
yeah, it'd be
but
interesting though, man. Be
yeah,
interesting.
before you when you stop recording, I'll talk to you about something.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll end it now. And reminder for anybody who's not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you go check out Kurt's website because
I have my forums up as well.
the forum's up. So let's get going on there.
It doesn't officially launch until Saturday, but people can join whenever they want at this point.
Yeah,
It's forum.atomiclifecoaching.com.
sweet. Yeah.
So you're on there, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And anybody else who joins will be on there. We'll answer questions. We'll chat with you guys too. And of
It
course,
has
make sure, yeah,
full anabolic libraries, every steroid ever designed, full description of it, growth hormone, IGF, Increlux, all that stuff. So there's the most current studies are on there. I'll keep posting new content, stuff that's just not out there.
yeah, brain gains.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, make sure you go to Biolab and use code STRONG. Make sure you go to Rebel Fit and use code BEEF10. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in the
Thank
next
you.
one. Peace.